This is the UC Hunting Properties Podcast, your home for all things recreational land. Our goal, to help you stand on your investment.
It was just United Farms, and all the old United Country signs were in this old chicken farm or this old chicken house that they're tearing down. And so I called this guy and I was like, "Hey, I work for that company and love to buy one of those signs from him." He said he bought 8 of them. He said, "Well, yeah." And I said, "Well, what kind of price you want?" And he said, "Well, I paid quite a bit for them. I didn't let him know that I already talked to the previous person." He said, "How about $400 for 3 of them?" And I said, "How about $200 for 4 of them?" He said, "Done." So
Yeah,
I got one in my shop. I got one right here, and then my father-in-law's got a couple of them, but they're pretty cool.
I think we
Testimony.
paid 200 for a very similar sign. I'll have to snap a picture of it to you or whatever, but it's big. It's like the one you got there. But it was just happened to be on an auction, a local auction. I have no idea where it came from, but we snagged it right up.
Arkansas's had, United Country or United Farms and all that stuff for quite a long time. One of the, original areas from what I understand of it. So
Right.
there's a few of these that come around. I have another one. The guy, Joe King, used to be with the company had, and it's hanging in my office, and it's even older than this one. I don't know how old it is, but
That's cool.
pretty neat stuff to be a part of the development of it. So, well, guys, yeah, we got Michael Paskawitz right here, and we got Will.
Yes, sir.
Will's one of our agents here, and Michael's a good friend of mine too, and he's also the local extension agent. Michael, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? And
Well, I grew up in West Arkansas and had a couple of people that friends that took me under and kind of showed me how to get around in the woods, and had a big passion for it. And I grew up on public land, my entire life until I was able to kind of buy some land. And a big part of that really changed, how we did things. And I think the process is maybe more fun than the results sometimes.
Yep.
For me, it is anyway.
I know the feeling.
It's nice. Building it is more fun than getting there, I believe. So I've really enjoyed, the land with my wife and I and my kids and what we've put together here. And I've lived all over the state, and this has just been such a blessing to be in this part of the world for some time. And I love the agriculture side of it as well. I love the overlapping of the ag and the outdoorsman and the hunting and things like that. So.
Sure.
Michael bought a really big farm, big for our area here, from May United Country. Here, I don't know how many years ago has that been.
It's been for a few years ago, and so it's been a dream come true for us.
Lots of river frontage, just beautiful area, pretty neat, kind of just worked out for the best. And he's also, you'll learn this throughout the episode too, he will underplay his stuff. This guy's daughter kills bigger deer than I kill. So
Sure.
he does know his way around the woods, and he has killed, like I said, some excellent deer here, and goes out west and all kinds of stuff. So he's a wealth of knowledge on that, and that's why I thought he'd be great for the show. And Will's also interested in the hunting stuff. He's a lot better looking than the rest of us. I don't know if he knows about hunting too good, but yeah, he does.
No, I'm the GQ model of Ozark Realty right now.
Okay,
But,
Cody needs all the help he can get in that department. Will, so good thing you're saving him.
Yeah. Oh, no doubt about that.
Well, no, happy to have all you guys. Appreciate it. I'll kind of tee this up quickly. Number one, appreciate you guys getting on. Cody Cooper, obviously, kind of the ringleader of UC Ozark Realty, Melbourne, Arkansas. For people listening that don't know where that's at, I would call it North Central Arkansas, kind of the Ozark area, for lack of a better term. Awesome area, and I did a little research before this one, Cody, because I know we'd talked a little bit like, hey, what do we want to talk about? And you brought up an awesome thing that in the last 5 years, just the sheer size of deer coming out of your guys' region has shot through the roof. And I've even noticed it. And then in doing some research, this is no joke. There's been 176 typical whitetails entered through Boone and Crockett and 85 non-typicals from the state of Arkansas. And I can't help myself. I start poking around in those actual records to see, you know, like how big are we talking? What are they actually, you know, how much juice is there? And dude, there's some hammers. Like your guys' state record typical is over 200. And your state record non-typical, I think, was in the 230s or 240s. So some absolute slobs. And then you send the picture over with the deer you guys have killed, and I'm like, okay, this does need talked about because, yeah, there it is. There's the picture. Michael, your deer.
That one on the left's bigger than you think.
Are you talking about the person or the deer?
Both.
No, it's this is a cool picture, and I love you can literally like feel the camaraderie in that picture and like the you know, proud hunter moment. But this is awesome. Like I love the old school, you know, gambrels hanging from the skin and pole or the skin and tree in the yard, and you guys all wadded up there. That's a cool picture. And that deer's a mega.
And that picture is even more important to us now because when Arkansas went through some pretty severe weather this year, and we had some flooding and a tornado, and that building, as we know, it does not really exist like that anymore. And that was the Rock House Hunting Club for a long time. So it's even more nostalgic to us now, I'd say, than it was prior to that. So
nice.
But yeah,
Now,
that was a great day.
What is the, at least give us a little background. I mean, is this like opening day, your guys' deer season? Are you guys doing deer drives? Like what's the, set that up a little bit, because obviously you guys were gun hunting.
Well, I remember that morning very well. I had been hunting that particular deer, and that was actually one of the first ones my little girl was big enough to be excited about that and get a picture with her. And I think, you know, that's always something a dad remembers on something like that. But we're in this group text, Rock House Hunting Club group text, and you know, I've got that deer, and everyone's, whoa, you've killed a hammer, that's good and great. And then we get a text from Michael, and like I said, if I'm gonna, you know, reiterate anything, he'll underplay anything instead of overplay it. And he said, I think I just killed the biggest deer in my life. And you know, the pictures from that point, that's when I pulled up right there and didn't even let my tailgate down. Like I said, the pictures just don't hardly do it justice. Michael, you want to tell us a little bit about that morning?
Yeah, it definitely reshaped me. I've never, the celebration and the friendship, the way my friends celebrated that day with, you know, for me and with me, it encapsulates what, you know, why we do this. And it sounds cliche, but you know, I've not been the same since. But it was definitely one of a kind. It's just hard to put it into words, but you know, I knew that deer was close. I had only had a couple of videos of him on a single trail camera, but I knew he had worked this same ridge a time or two, and I was too scared to go in the dark. So I actually got in a stand for a little while, and then when it got to where I could see, you know, I like to hunt out west. I like to slip hunt. I like to move. When it got enough daylight, I, you know, made my way up this side of this hill and found a good spot I could see and just tucked in against a tree on the ground. And you know, the rest is kind of history, and definitely quite a celebration. I knew he was big, and I didn't know for sure who it was. I just knew he was a big deer, and I got up and I made the shot, and I started to grab, you know, what I had with me, and I said, no, I better go check on it. And so I get up the hill. When I run up on him, you know, he is still moving around a little bit, and I just immediately just double tap him, you know, laying on the ground there. I didn't know at the time he wouldn't have probably got away, but I didn't know that. But you know, I'd never seen one that big in our
Michael, I'm a firm believer if you got the ammo or the arrows or whatever you're hunting with, you keep dropping the hammer until they're done, regardless.
Yeah,
that's right. The guy that raised me in the woods, you know, he said it trained me, instilled in me. If they're still moving, you keep shooting till it clicks. You know,
fact.
I did. I wasn't going to take no chances, so I did double tap him there on the ground. But
how far was the initial shot? I mean, if you were set up on the ground hunting him, did he walk right to you? Or?
No, he had come up from behind me, and I actually had to get up on a knee to turn around and shoot behind me, and he was leaving, you know, just trailing back the other way. I think he was just cruising, and so it was a terrible, sketchy shot, you know, through a crack in a couple of trees. It was something I probably wouldn't have taken if I'd have known that this was him, that he was that big. We knew he was big, but we never dreamed he was that big. really in person until you get to them. You know how trail cam pics can make them look better than they are. Well, it certainly was the opposite with him.
Yeah.
And so I make this sketchy shot, through about a little 4 or 5 inch gap, and I see him go down, and so the first initial shot was about 100 yards. The second one was about 3 or 4. So
Too funny. Well, you got him. That's the main thing. What did that deer end up scoring? I mean, did you guys get a live weight on him or anything? I mean, that picture, he just looks almost obtusely big.
He's 164 and 4/8.
Okay, so that's a hammer.
Yeah. And to talk about too, you was talking about some of those scores and stuff in Arkansas. Arkansas is unique to me in the fact that like we're in north central Arkansas, in the rolling Ozarks, but if you go to the northeast, you're in the row crop stuff that join the Mississippi River and some of those big islands, and uh, yeah, and you go to the west over there, and the mountains get even bigger, and then you got south, you got some of the pines, so it really is set up and pretty uniquely in all different parts of the states. And if you hear people refer to our area, you refer to it to the hills. People buy that hill ground, people do this and that, and that kind of is a stepping stone into what me and Will is selling up here now. It wasn't too long ago where $1,000 an acre was a pretty big price for hill ground over here. Like seriously, not very long ago, and that's changed drastically. Well, how much it changed just since you've been in the business?
I mean, I've been doing this going on 3 months or 3 years now. And since then we've seen, I mean, not including pasture ground or anything. I mean, that's probably peak COVID. You're saying 4,000 acre for pasture timber. You're looking at 2,000, 2,500. I mean, it just goes. It varies obviously, but it's
When you tell some of these people up here, what you're getting for a wooded 40 on one of these county roads, and also our area, it's kind of a step back in time too. It's a lot of land. It's not a lot of modern stuff. Not a lot of industry here. It's very rural. There's probably not city water. There's a lot of times there's not going to be electricity to the property. But I think that when the COVID hit, and then just people just leaning towards recreational, the land type lifestyle and homestead stuff, that they found it as kind of like a bit of sweet little secret up here, and taxes are pretty reasonable, and I think we owe a lot of our success to that, really.
No, I'm glad that you guys teed it up or kind of shaped it that way, because I haven't been to Arkansas a ton, but when I was there, I felt like I was in the most rural of the rural because I was over by Flippin. So flew into the big town of Little Rock and then drove up to Flippin, Arkansas, and I was like, I had no idea the terrain and stuff in Arkansas, but I was like, dude, I could have fit in down there in 2 seconds. Like, I loved it. I thought it was beautiful, and you guys were right in the middle of that.
It is, and the creeks, the rivers, and everything. Everyone I get to come over here, I'll never forget Jonathan Hickerson, a big United Country guy over from Tennessee, a good friend of mine, come over, and him and his family rode side by sides and went up the river on the boat and all that stuff. And the water's crystal clear. It's 5-6 foot deep. You can see fish swimming. Like I said, it's not a lot of dirt here per se because there's a lot of rocks, but it sure does make for some beautiful water.
Yeah, the whole landscape's gorgeous, and I love that. Well, I guess it's probably a good bad, right? Like the COVID boom or whatnot, whatever's driving it, and now it's kind of stuck. And I think we've seen that for the most part everywhere, right? I mean, some areas were already known as well. I'm from Iowa, right? So I mean, Iowa, you're either tilling it or you're hunting it. Like very little in between. It's one or the other. But like Arkansas was so wooded, and I don't know as a percentage, but there's a boatload of timber there, and there's a boatload of national / state ground or federal ground in Arkansas as well. So cool area. Like I said, I was really impressed.
Will's got a piece of ground he owns personally too that joins the national forest up here, and it got some great deer on it, and it's a high commodity.
for sure. I mean, I've cut my teeth the last 4 years hunting the WMAs or the national forest over there, the Silmore National Forest, where the Buffalo River comes through. And if you want to see a rural, rugged country, and you're like, where am I? That's the place to be. I mean, we had a mountain lion die over there last year. There's plenty of bears on my cameras, and at the same time, we still get decent bucks over there too.
Well, isn't that like where you start hearing the banjos and stuff? Like, I mean, we got to be getting close.
That's exactly. They could have filmed Deliverance there.
Curt, that's my house. Just come on in.
No worries.
So, and that's another point too, is that we do get quite a bit of property that we sell up here. I know we've both sold quite a bit of it that joins the national forest, and as that demand rises for people getting interested in that kind of stuff and the uniqueness of it, it's hard to put a price on some of that. Being able to walk from your, 5 to 500 acres into Leatherwoods National Forest or wherever you're at up here.
Yep.
Basically an endless amount, right?
We get calls every day for that.
No, that's super
Yes,
cool, and
it's
that's what I wanted to pick your guys' brain on. I mean, like, clearly there's a phenomenon to some degree driving that and driving people into the recreational market, but at the same time, you guys are trending the right direction. Your deer are getting bigger, right? The trophy quality in northern, I'm going to say Arkansas in general. I'm not just going to say where you guys are at, because we do have a ton of agents and UC hunting properties members scattered all over Arkansas. It's an awesome area. But I am curious on what do you guys feel is driving that? I mean, as a whole, Arkansas's regs are fairly liberal. Like, you guys can shoot, from what I gathered, a lot of deer. Your seasons are long. You basically have a season for every type of weapon, or you can hunt multiple types of weapons. So I guess I'm just curious from your guys' perspective, what is driving it? Why are you guys trending the right direction when I guess I would normally make an argument that regs have a direct correlation with where the best hunting is, and you guys seem to be the anomaly.
Well, I'm gonna definitely, deter some of that to Michael and some of that too. But I will say this from a starting point, I don't know if there was any direction to go other than up, because when my dad was young, my grandpa was young, uh, you know, Arkansas was settled later here. People lived off the land. We eat a bunch of deer. We celebrate that kind of stuff. Um, there's just, if there's a spike running out through the field back in the day, they're going to bust it and celebrate around camp and
Sure.
divvy up the meat. And at that baseline, it slowly started getting a little better. And Michael, wouldn't you say the 3-point rule made a big change a while back?
I would say so. I think it's a thousand pieces of the puzzle that are coming together. I think that there's definitely management. I think that, we see some of these people doing good things, and multiple people get on board and start implementing, nutrition and mineral programs and nutrition at the right time of the year for us. And especially where we do have some shallower soils or some poorer soils, it's a lot of puzzles coming, a lot of pieces coming together to transform these regions. We obviously must have some better genetics than we initially believed, because we've all heard, and I guarantee these guys can vouch for this, that they talk about putting a bucket over a deer track. Not very long ago, people that we still hunt with, tell us about what a rarity it was to see a deer, a rarity to see a track, and that people would go look at a deer track, more or less a deer. So to come the direction that we have and accomplish what we have as far as harvesting consistently, either having big bucks to hunt, or harvesting these really good deer, it's got to be a full program implemented.
It is. And something else like Will's age too, because we're varied, in age a little bit, about probably spaced out similar amount. But some of these younger guys that follow this, and it makes me even think of my little girl on like the YouTube stuff. It's the how to, what's going on, instruction stuff. And people are not just getting so excited to go out there and shoot the first thing. They're into the conservation, they're into the management. That they like that lifestyle, and it's cool to see the fruits of your labor, come to fruition.
I'm glad you brought that up, Cody, because I've not to sound weird, but like I've really enjoyed being friends with you on Snapchat, because like you literally do live the lifestyle.
Don't post that on here.
Yeah, right. Like I actually think you should post more of that stuff, because I mean you're constantly in a tractor or chasing a critter, or you got your family with you a lot, and you're doing outdoorsy hunting related stuff. And I'm sure you get sick of me pinging you back going like, dude, post that, send me that. Like, let's do something with that. But I have enjoyed it because it is a more real snapshot into who you guys are and what you're doing down there. And I see it. You're doing a lot of the same stuff we're doing here to manage in Iowa. So I want to dive into that a little bit because Arkansas, from what I gather, there's different zones, and with that, there's variations and like limitations, antler point restriction. There's a lot of, I guess, diversity in what's happening down there with your guys' landscape. Maybe, do you guys think there's something unique to your region or north central Arkansas in general that's driving maybe you guys ahead of, like, I think the Delta has always overshadowed all of Arkansas, right? And I get it. There's ag there. Deer get big. They're eating corn and soybeans. Duh. But you guys aren't considered Delta, right? I mean, that would be east of you.
No Delta in sight around here. No, and it breaks it up so well. Just to lead up to kind of your question, like, why is it happening here? Is it the denseness of the woods and the amount of land where there's places to hide? Is it the management standpoint, or back in the day was people just killing every deer they could, and maybe some of the restrictions have changed? And that also leads me in. I'm not sure if we have CWD here or any of that. Do you think we do?
Ozark County is not on the map.
We're not on the map yet. That was a interesting way you answered that. But I don't know if we have some of that stuff you see some of the bigger places have. I would say it's just a combination of things, and where me and Michael live particularly, and he's the reason that I've managed a lot more, just because I've seen the fruits of his labor doing some of that stuff. It's a Myron River Valley where we're at, so it's kind of nestled in. It's got some bottoms and some rivers. You get close to the rivers and just a little better soil, and then good places for them to hide. You can kind of find what you're looking for the most part.
They live in mini Kansas, I call it, but I mean, there's some bucks over there, I'd say.
Right on. So on that note, I mean, what are you guys doing, Michael? I mean, or Cody, talk to me a little bit about what you guys are doing on your properties to manage. I mean, the obvious one's trigger control, right? You can't kill them when they're 2 or 3 years old.
This is trying to shoot. Cody. Cody, don't do it.
And I get that. I mean, that's a huge part of it.
The reason I like hunting so much, and I wasn't raised with it too. Like my dad wasn't into it. My grandpa wasn't into it. It was working, all the time. But I think, and I learned a lot from my friends. That's why I still continue to reach out. And I think it's been helpful in my life because I surround myself with people I think can teach me something. But, as far as the management standpoint, the cell cams have come into play. You start getting older, you get a little smarter, you see what's working, what's not working. I've started putting out mineral sites. He does, big food plots, but I think trigger control is numero uno. Do you think?
I agree. I think you got to let them. I think you just got to let them get a year or two extra on them. And from one thing that I felt like where I felt like I saw a big difference was having some food available at the time of year when they most need it, which for us was that January, February, leading into March, before the browse was available. But it took 2 or 3 years for that to circle back, and things really kind of changed there. It definitely took 3 or 4 years, but I do feel like we saw it change quickly when it finally all came together. But it's not just one person; it's multiple neighbors and landowners all working toward the same goal, and you can't compensate for some of those things when you get a bunch of people on board doing the same thing.
Well, it's like the old saying, right? Your farm's only as good as your neighbor's, right? So makes sense.
Yeah, Morgan Wallen neighbor's still shooting next year's deer.
Yeah, tomorrow's trophy today, right? Yeah,
I'm the neighbor.
Yeah. Well, I always say that anytime somebody says, "Well, if I don't shoot it, the neighbors are going to kill it for sure," I always literally just say, "Well, have you ever considered maybe you're that neighbor?" And then they look at me weird, like I, just insulted them, which I kind of did. But like, if everyone thought like that, we'd all be shooting bigger bucks. Like, I always chuckle too, or a guy that says, "Well, I'm just a meat hunter," and I'm like, "That's cool, and I can totally respect that." But then in that scenario, if a 3-year-old 160 runs out and a big fat mama doe runs out and they're side by side, even though that's a 3-year-old 160 that's got 200-inch genetics at 4 or 5, 6 years old, you're killing that doe because you're a meat hunter. And they usually can't answer that either. And then I'm really an asshole. But yeah, I mean, if you can pass a 150, odds are the next year you're hunting a 160 or a 170. I mean, it is that simple. Did you get your deer age, Michael? Like, did you send his teeth in?
I did not.
What did you think he was?
Well, I mean, I was certain he was, no less than 5.5
Yeah.
or 6. Based off as I knew who he was. I'd known him since he was, just a really nice buck, but he was really distinct, and I'd known him. I'd had him for 3 or 4 years, and so he had got by a couple of people that said they were going to kill him, And so it was
yeah, there's a little more to that story.
I showed Cody a picture of him just the other day. I said, this was him at what I'm saying was 4 years old, and then here he was. He had a messed up side at 5. I think he was 6 when I killed him, but I don't know. And I'm not hard or judgmental on people who are at a different phase in their hunting career. I went through different ones, so I don't judge. I understand if this one makes you happy. I get it. It does make it hard when you're everybody's at a different phase and in their career for sure, and their whatever you want to call it. But,
Right.
And there's a lot of fun to be had too. And I always say, and I preach this to my agents and stuff too. When you're selling recreational property or farm stuff, you're selling lifestyle, and that's like United Country lifestyle type property is what you're selling. So it is great to have a buddy, or you go some public ground or something like that, and you sit out there and the big pretty 8-point comes out, and you shoot it, and it's a great fall morning. There's nothing like it. But I'll tell you what else is great: creating a trail system, making a plan, putting your game cameras on your own property. I heard you say this on one of those things. If you're not getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning in late October and November to figure out, what deer's moving, doing this and that, we're built a little bit different. But when I'm selling someone or 48 or 80, I'm excited as they are because I'm seeing the vision that they're seeing of making this their own, and taking their kids hunting or doing what they're doing, and it nothing like pick up rocks on your own place all day. Kind of a good metaphor for it.
Yeah, no, I'm going to steal that one from you because I like that one. But, that is the neat thing, and it's almost hard to put into words the freedom you have when you own a piece of dirt, like, because there's a pride factor that goes there in managing what is yours. It's just different, right? Because you guys would have endless amounts of public ground you could go hunting on. And although that's an awesome experience, there is something about walking out on your own farm, the fruits of your labor, right? Whether it's the food plot or, you passed a deer and maybe your farm's the reason he stayed alive an extra year or two, but who knows? But yeah, in my mind, private land ownership is like the ultimate top of the echelon for conservation. Like I think private landowners do more for game and management than any state or federal agency is ever going to do. And it's because people pour their heart and souls into it, right? Like you got skin in the game.
Oh, it's huge. And just to use it as example, because he's sitting here and our brokerage sold it to him. How many acres is that last farm that you bought? Yeah, just touch over 100 acres, but probably a quarter mile of Strawberry River frontage on it. He's farming this place too. He can go smallmouth fishing in the spring. His girls are riding horses on there. We're watching turkey strut come across the bottom. I mean, so many different things you can enjoy from investing your money in something that is going to appreciate. That's what time tells us. Don't wait and buy real estate. Buy real estate and wait. So it's a cool thing. It's not like selling insurance, not to hold that against anybody or anything like that, but selling stuff that people get to enjoy and it being a good investment is what gets me out of bed in the morning.
Amen. I mean, that's why our tagline, stand on your investment, right?
That's right. Stand on your investment. And when we have people coming here and they're looking to do whatever, Will, you take some of the same calls I do. Everyone's got their own vision. He was showing a guy last week. He's like, "Hey, I don't have a huge budget. I've been hunting the same place forever. They sold it or whatever. I'd like to have just 20 or 25 acres. You go meet them up there, and it starts from there, right? You get your place, you clean it up, you deer hunt or whatever, and then you sell it. And the next one, you got 40 acres.
Yep.
It's a turnover deal, and it's nothing like it.
So much of Arkansas, what they're probably best known for from a recreational standpoint would be duck hunting, right? Like it's huge, and you envision the flooded timber and the lab sitting there and all the stuff. But in your guys' area, I mean, I would assume a guy could still kill some ducks if you got the water. But I mean, is it deer primarily driving the recreational value of these properties?
I would say it's a mixture of deer and turkey. A lot of turkey hunters coming up this way. There's, like I said, if I had to give up something, it definitely wouldn't be the turkey hunting and the investment standpoint, more so than anything. We got a lot of deer in the state, and people come from all over deer hunt, but I don't necessarily think that people come to our area to hunt big deer. I think that's just kind of been a newer thing that's been going on lately, for sure.
I think if someone's local, at least the state of Arkansas, in the Delta, we have a lot of buddies. We know a lot of people that live in the Delta. They farm over there. They're from Memphis, say Jonesboro area, and they've been duck hunting since they could get in a boat. Uh, but over there, obviously monster deer, but there's no turkeys for the most part. There's no bears. You can't go. The water's clear. I mean, they come up here, and I've had people try to trade me. I'll take you duck hunting for a turkey, and I was like, dude, if I could give you the best place to go turkey hunting, I'd do it. But our area, Ozark County, North Central Arkansas, is some of the best turkey hunting in the state. There's nothing like hunting easterns in the hills. I mean, you got to work for them for sure, especially here.
Right. Well, that sounds like a good excuse for us to come down and film a turkey hunt. Just saying.
I'd love for you to. Absolutely. It'd be great. And just what he said too, they are hard-headed Easterns here, and they're good-sized birds. I've went to Kansas and North Missouri and Texas and Tennessee all over. And if you can kill one in North Central Arkansas, you got a pretty good shot of killing one anywhere in the States, in my opinion.
Are you like brothers with Slade Priest? Because he told me that only the real men can kill Mississippi birds. Now, what you just said, I'm kind of picking up the same vibe in North Central Arkansas.
I might have to challenge Slade on that one. I'd say the Arkansas birds are tougher, but I ain't been on too many Mississippi gobblers.
Well, so now we will formally call out the hunt and land man. Slade, I think I just heard a challenge. I think you need to bring your green rubber boots and head up to Cody Cooper country and try to put it on one. I like where this is going.
Absolutely. Get you down here too. We go catch some smallies in the river, and shoot some turkeys, and maybe find a few morels and have a gourmet Arkansas dinner.
Dude, you're talking to a fat Iowa guy. You bring up morels and turkey and fish, I'm in. Talk to me, Michael. You're doing the food plots and stuff. I'm going to circle back to this. What are you growing down there? Like, what are you putting in your food plots? When are you doing them? Are you doing spring plots? Are you doing fall plots? Like, what's your strategy with managing on your farm?
I kind of started just mixing a little bit of everything together. I'm primarily a fall plot, but that carries over. Our deer don't need much in my opinion, middle of the year. I just try to make sure I've got plenty of tonnage ahead of them for January, February, because most people stop feeding. I feel like there's a critical time there where we can maybe lower the stress on our does. I still believe and I also raise cattle as well. So I have seen what stress to a cow that's in utero can do. She's got a calf, she's raising a calf. I've seen weak calves, I've seen small calves that don't perform as good, don't grow off as good. Those calves are not something I want to keep and turn into a replacement female. And so I feel like that in theory, that's the same scenario for our does and fawns. It's just, again, this is all my own thinking. So I was like, man, what can I have out there in this time period that maybe help, bring body condition score a little higher, whenever they do start dropping fawns. So I feel like it goes back to that. And so just making sure that I've got some kind of better food source out there those hardest 2 months. I think that's the big one. I don't think I don't know that we're changing antler size. We probably are a little bit because, maybe those bucks come through in a little bit better condition. Uh, if they're in better body condition whenever they, start their antler growth, there's got to be some benefit there. Again, I'm no scientist. I don't claim to be, and I'm not on social media, and I don't dig down I'm not into data. I love ag, and I feel like some of the same principles apply to raising really good cattle to a degree can overlap into, same deal on how these animals perform. And so that's kind of where I'll go down the rabbit hole.
And something else that Michael does that we hadn't talked about, and Curt, I doubt that you'll have many of these, but there's no telling how many big wild boar, big hogs this guy's killed too.
Unfortunately,
From a trapping standpoint, you talk about something that comes in when we have people come in. Well, do y'all have bears and hogs there? We tell them like, yeah, unfortunately, this place actually does have bear and hogs on it because to me they're almost more of a nuisance type thing. Not so much the bear, but the hogs. You talk about destroy a field. Tell them what you were seeing down there on your river bottom with that big one you got the other day.
I mean, they just destroy the landscape, and they're bound to be, having a negative impact on our native species. I don't think that's any secret. We probably know that's legit. And so I've worked with my employment through the University of Arkansas Extension. I'm a kind of a regional trap coordinator for myself and for all the surrounding counties around me. We've got the smart traps, and we have been successful. I've caught 300. I've caught or shot 340 in the last few years, and so I know that that's also a positive impact. Taking that food competition has got to be real. I see where sounder of hogs goes through the woods. They don't leave a leaf unturned, and so when a mass crop drops, how much of this mass crop are these hogs taking in ahead of the deer that that we would like to capitalize on those dropping acres or things like that. So
And turkey,
absolutely.
I mean, turkey nest huge, but I mean, he has a video. It's been a few years ago. I probably couldn't find it now, but of one of the meanest ones I've ever seen him catching a trap, and it'll make your hair stand up on the back of your neck. Coming and charging. I mean, it's vicious is the word for it. These things are vicious.
You can't kill them fast enough, right? Like, I mean, even if you're trying, if you're not trying, you got a serious problem. But even when you're trying, it's full-time job. Just try staying ahead of the damn things.
It is. And what is the gestate? What is it? I mean, it's basically a pyramid on how they. I mean, you got to kill what 70% or something to keep them even. I don't remember.
Yes.
I mean, it's a crazy statistic, and they're rough. I mean, they really are. It's a good point.
That's one of those 1,000 pieces.
Yeah, it's like any other predator. I mean, you talked about turkey eggs. Like up here, controlling your, the coon, the possum, the skunk, anything that eats a turkey or a pheasant egg, I'm all about eliminating. And I got to think the pigs down in your guys' country would be the exact same thing.
Yeah, absolutely. My brother-in-law makes the reference all the time that he's a big cattle farmer. That these old timers had it figured out. Back when trapping was more prevalent. We had all the quail here. All the turkey were doing so, which is turkey and quail are making a huge comeback due to some of those stuff. But predator control is underrated in my opinion.
I think, yeah, I'm right there with you. I think it's probably one of the most underrated things in general from a management perspective. Now, I got to ask, because now you kind of got me intrigued, Michael. Are you guys doing like you basically have a bait pile and the trap is suspended and it's smart, so then when they're all in there, it just drops and then they're all trapped?
There is a style like that. The one that we're using is called a Bull Creek trap, and it just has a couple of entrance gates with no threshold underneath them. Even stepping over a pipe, they get trap shy. So these have got a suspended gate where they don't have to walk over a pipe or anything. And you do trigger it through an app once you get them in. But you have to, it's a psychological training process. You have to put out enough feed, enough days in a row that they know there's an easy meal there. Everybody in the sounder needs to come get a full belly. So You may have to put out 100 to 200 pounds per day, of feed scattered out with enough room that you condition them to come, and then you maybe begin to assemble the trap. And occasionally it just doesn't work. It's not foolproof, and they do get trap shy. And we are very disciplined in not dropping that trap if we have anybody outside. We do not want to educate one or two, because they'll educate the next group. And so we're very diligent in best trapping practices through the university, and not educating anything. So,
Well, they learn, right? They evolve. We see it with everything, So I think you're onto something. Not training them or not helping them evolve. That's awesome. But no, I'm glad. I don't want to keep you guys much longer. Heck, I think we could rattle on about hunting and BS about this stuff all day long. But cool area of Arkansas. I mean, if anyone's thinking about pumping money into some ground that I would like to think is on a major uptick, it's right in your guys' backyard. And looking at the pictures and stuff, I am impressed. Appreciate you guys coming on. I mean, we'll do this again. I'd love to get something coordinated for next spring, and maybe even try to get down there and video a turkey hunt with you guys. And like I said, we'll drag Slade in there and trade notes on who's got the tougher bird to kill, if it's in Arkansas or if it's in Mississippi.
Man, that sounds absolutely great. We'd love to show you around the White River and the big rolling Ozarks. And like I said, there's something for everybody here, and we sure think that we got something special, and hopefully that can continue to work for us.
Right on. Well, thanks for your guys' time today, and like I said, we'll do it again. Will, Michael, appreciate you joining us, and Cody, as always, great to see you, buddy.
Good to see you too. Thanks for having us,
Thank
guys.
you.
Appreciate it.
Take care.